Or we really? Beyond the image we build and the story we tell ourselves, is there something more? The identity we assume is like a garment that we wear, shaped by the body we inhabit, the mind we use, and the experiences we accumulate along the way. But is this identity truly our deepest self? What if the image we have of ourselves were merely an outer layer, a temporary interpretation of our essential being? Imagine for a moment that every definition you use to describe yourself, every role, every belief, every story, was just a passing cloud in the vast sky of your consciousness. Like clouds, these definitions can change, disappear, and reappear in different forms without altering the essence of the sky that holds them. What would remain if we could see beyond these clouds, beyond these temporary layers that cover our true essence? The idea that identity is something temporary and changeable opens the door to a new vision of ourselves. This awakening invites us to explore our true nature, to look within and question what we have always taken for granted. By doing so, we begin to uncover a sense of self that goes beyond what we see in the mirror, beyond the stories we tell. Have you ever wondered, who is the I that observes, that feels, that experiences? Who is this silent presence that exists before any thought or definition? I invite you to let this reflection deepen. There is no rush, for the path to discovering the true self is an invitation to delve into your own essence, a call to remember who you truly are beyond any mask, beyond any story. The ego is an ingenious construction, a layer we create to protect ourselves and adapt to the world. It arises from the experiences, expectations, and conditioning we gather throughout life, serving as a shield that separates us from others and from the uncertainties of the external world. This self created by the ego is a representation, an image shaped by beliefs and the need for acceptance and security. But does it truly represent who we are? The ego is like a mask we wear to present ourselves to the world. It allows us to function in society, meet expectations, and fulfill roles. But this same mask, which protects us at times, can also limit us, trapping us in a narrow version of ourselves. It hides our essence, that part of us that is free, expansive, and spontaneous. The more we believe we are this mask, the more we distance ourselves from our true self. To see the ego as it truly is, we must carefully observe how it shapes our thoughts and reactions. Every desire, every fear, every judgment is an expression of the ego, constantly trying to reaffirm its existence and importance. The ego makes us believe we are separate, defined by our achievements, failures, and identities. But in reality, it is just a fleeting layer covering something far deeper within us. Understanding the role of the ego is the first step to accessing our true self. It is not necessary to eliminate the ego but to understand it, to see beyond it, to view it as a temporary reflection that does not represent our essence. As we become aware of its nature, we begin to perceive that something exists beyond this mask, something immeasurable and eternal, calmly and acceptingly observing all layers of our being. Have you ever felt that behind every thought, there is a silent presence watching? This is the invitation of the ego, to allow it to become transparent so that our true essence can emerge. There are rare, profound moments when we feel a peace that seems to come from beyond us. It's a sense of connection, a glimpse of belonging to something vast and infinite, where the boundaries between self and other begin to fade. This is the feeling of unity, the experience of being deeply connected to the whole, where every being, every form of life, every particle in the universe vibrates in a silent dance of interdependence. Imagine the true self as a drop of water in a vast ocean. Though each drop has its individuality, it is inseparable from the ocean itself. In the same way, we are parts of this ocean of universal consciousness. We may perceive ourselves as separate entities, but in essence, we are part of a larger field, a current of life flowing through every being, every star, every leaf swaying in the wind. And in connecting with this unity, we find a peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances but flows from the understanding that we are never truly alone. This experience of interconnection brings a new perception of life. When we recognize that we are part of the whole, our relationships with others, with nature, and even with ourselves shift. We begin to view the world with more compassion, more love, for we understand that another's suffering and joy are also our own. To feel part of the whole is to sense the universe's pulse within our own heart, to see ourselves and others as expressions of the same consciousness. Have you ever felt this sense of unity? Have you ever sensed, even for a brief moment, that we are all connected by an invisible, powerful force? This state of being reminds us that our true identity goes beyond the ego, beyond the limitations of the body and mind. It invites us to recognize ourselves as a unique expression of something far greater, something eternal and unchanging. Embracing this unity, we find our true peace, a peace that comes from being in harmony with all that exists, from feeling that, deep down, we are all one. In silence, we find the portal to our essence. Amid the ceaseless noise of thoughts, where each idea and worry competes for attention, the true self remains like a calm, observing presence, waiting to be recognized. It is in the silent space of the mind that this essence can emerge, reflecting like the clear image on a tranquil lake, undisturbed by ripples and agitation. When the mind quiets, the true self becomes more visible, more tangible. The mind, with its restless nature, tends to obscure our pure awareness, like a dense cloud that hides the sun's brightness. But by cultivating inner silence, by allowing thoughts to settle, we begin to perceive what exists beyond them. A living, pure, constant presence. This silence is not emptiness. On the contrary, it is fullness, containing the potential of all our truth, of all our essence. This mental peace, this silent space, is something we can cultivate. Practices like meditation, conscious breathing, and simply observing without judgment help us access this state of calm and clarity. When we quiet down, the mind becomes an instrument of clear perception, and the true self reveals itself as a gentle light guiding us, free from the layers of thoughts and emotions that often confuse us. In this silence, there is no need to explain, define, or justify, only to be. Have you noticed the power that silence has in your life? Have you seen how, when we quiet down, everything seems to gain new meaning, new depth? This is the invitation of silence, to return to the state of pure awareness, where there is no judgment, no separation, only being. In the space of silent consciousness, we find our true identity, one that transcends time, experiences, and narratives. And by surrendering to this state, we rediscover what has always been there, our most authentic, serene, and eternal self. Imagine life as a turning wheel, where each rotation brings new experiences, new learnings, and new opportunities for growth and evolution. In many spiritual traditions, it is believed that our essence, our soul, lives multiple existences, each one like a chapter in a book we are writing throughout an eternal journey. In each life, we experience, learn, love, and face challenges, and all these experiences accumulate as fragments of wisdom that enrich our true self. Each incarnation, then, is not an isolated point but a continuity of experiences that shape and expand our understanding. In one life, we may learn to overcome fear. In another, we experience the beauty of unconditional love. These lessons are not lost. They accumulate within our soul, leaving deep marks that accompany us as silent guides. It is as if, with each new existence, we carry with us the fragrance of past lives, a subtle essence that, although invisible, guides our choices, our longings, and our paths. Thinking of life as a cycle of multiple incarnations helps us to understand our current experiences in a broader way. The challenges we face, the pains and joys we live through, are part of continuous learning. By seeing it this way, we start to face each experience with more acceptance and gratitude. Each life is a page in a book that our soul writes, and at the end of each cycle, we carry with us a deeper understanding of what it means to be and to exist. Have you ever considered that perhaps the difficulties you face today are learning opportunities that your soul chose to experience? Viewing life as a journey that transcends time offers a new perspective, a perspective that invites us to live with more intention, wisdom, and patience. The wheel of life reminds us that we are here to learn, to evolve, and that each step brings us closer to our true essence, to our inner light. Throughout our lives, we tend to identify deeply with the body we inhabit and the mind we use to understand the world. But what if the body and mind were just tools we use and not who we are? Detaching from these temporary parts of our experience is like removing a garment we have worn for a long time, a layer that covers our true self. This journey of detachment leads us to see that we are something far beyond physical appearance or mental limitations. The body is a sacred temple, and the mind is an extraordinary instrument, but both are temporary, meant to accompany us while we live this existence. However, many of us confuse appearance and thoughts with our true identity. We identify with our physical traits, with what we think, with the emotions that arise, and in doing so, we limit ourselves, forgetting that our self is far greater than this. When we limit ourselves to being only body and mind, we ignore the vast field of consciousness that exists beyond these aspects. Practices like self-observation and meditation help us cultivate a broader perspective, to look at the body and mind as parts of us but not as our essential being. In meditation, by observing our thoughts as passing clouds, we realize that we are the awareness observing, not the thoughts themselves. When we detach from attachment to the body, we see what is eternal within us, a self untouched by time, form, or the limitations of matter. Have you ever experienced observing yourself beyond thoughts and body? Have you felt the freedom that arises when you realize you are not what you think, nor what you feel, nor the physical form you see in the mirror? Disidentifying is creating space for the true self, the one that is eternal, that exists before and beyond any form, any limitation. It is, in essence, a return to what we have always been, a pure presence, a being that observes and experiences life without attachment to anything. The path of self-discovery and reconnection with the true self also involves self-love, caring for the body, and kindness toward our own existence. While we understand that the body and mind are temporary, they are still the vehicles that allow us to experience life, to grow, and to evolve. Cultivating self-love and taking care of our body is, in truth, honoring this human experience and recognizing that our true self deserves to be treated with respect, gentleness, and compassion. Loving oneself is more than an act of self-esteem. It is an acknowledgement of the intrinsic value that exists within each of us. It is seeing that behind flaws, doubts, and difficulties, there is a precious, unique being worthy of care and affection. And when we love ourselves, we are truly connecting with the divine aspect that resides within us, with that spark of consciousness that manifests in the body and mind. Caring for the body is like tending to a temple where our soul temporarily resides. It is an act of reverence to the sacred within us. Self-care is a practice of presence, a way to remind ourselves that our existence is valuable and worthy of attention. Taking time to care for our health, to nourish ourselves mindfully, to rest and reflect. These acts strengthen our connection with the true self. The body is an expression of the soul in the physical world, and by nurturing this body with respect and awareness, we honor the purpose of being here, living and learning. Have you ever taken a moment to contemplate the body as a sanctuary of the soul? In nurturing our physical and emotional well-being, we are also nurturing our spiritual journey. Self-love teaches us that to love the whole, we must first learn to love ourselves. And in practicing this acceptance, this care, we awaken a light that connects us to our true self, helping us live in harmony with our essence and express it with truth and freedom in the world. In nature, everything is movement, everything is transformation. Just as the seasons change and the waves come and go, our lives are a continuous flow of changes, where nothing remains exactly the same. Accepting impermanence is one of the deepest and most liberating steps on the spiritual path, as it teaches us to let go of attachment to what is temporary and to find peace in the transient nature of all things. Imagine life as a river flowing, always toward the unknown, always adapting to the landscape, finding new paths, overcoming obstacles. When we cling to what is temporary, whether it's the body, possessions, relationships, or achievements, we suffer as we create resistance to the natural flow of the universe. But by accepting that everything is in constant change, we open space for life to flow freely through us. Accepting impermanence is like opening our hands and allowing life to pass through us, without trying to hold it, without trying to mold it to our will. This acceptance helps us see each experience as an opportunity for growth, like a wave that comes to teach us something before returning to the greater ocean. When we accept that nothing is permanent, we begin to value the present moment with newfound depth. Each instant, each encounter, and each challenge becomes precious because we know they are unique, never to return in the same way. Accepting impermanence allows us to live in harmony with the now, where the true self truly exists, free from the past and future. Have you ever experienced the peace that arises when we let go of attachment and accept change as a natural part of life? It's like taking a deep breath and realizing that while everything around us is in motion, something within us remains, something eternal and serene. This something is our essence, our true self, which observes and lives life with a lightness that only acceptance can bring. And by aligning with the flow of life, we find a freedom that goes beyond any circumstance. A freedom that connects us to the whole and teaches us the true art of living. Intuition is a subtle language, a voice that whispers directly from our true self and guides us with a wisdom that transcends logic and reason. It arises as a deep feeling, a knowing that doesn't explain itself with words but simply knows. This voice is the pure expression of the soul, an internal compass that directs us along life's journey, helping us make choices that resonate with our deepest essence. Intuition is like an invisible thread that connects our being with the universe, a direct path that allows us to access the wisdom accumulated in our essence and experiences. While the mind analyzes, questions, and calculates, intuition simply feels. It is free from the limitations of ego and fear, operating on a plane where answers are always available, ready to guide us toward the path most aligned with our soul's purpose. Trusting intuition is an act of faith, a dive into what we are in our essence. When we allow ourselves to listen to this inner voice, we are truly listening to our own soul. It speaks to us in moments of stillness, in flashes of clarity that arise when we least expect it, showing us paths we might not choose through reason, but which somehow resonate with our truth. This guidance is our direct connection to the true self, and by following its direction, we align with our essence. Have you noticed how, by following intuition, we often find answers and paths that, though unexpected, seem destined for us? This is the magic of intuition. It guides us effortlessly without the need to understand everything, simply with the trust that our soul knows the way. And by trusting this voice, we learn to live with more ease, more harmony, more authenticity. Listening to intuition is allowing the true self to guide us through life. It is recognizing that within us lies a wisdom beyond words, a wisdom that leads us, step by step, toward a life in tune with our deepest essence. The now is the point where the true self truly exists, the space where time ceases to be a continuous line and transforms into a living experience. The present is the only moment in which we are fully aware, free from future projections and shadows of the past. In the now, we find our pure essence, the one that observes everything with serenity, that is eternal and unchanging. The practice of presence leads us to this dimension of being, where consciousness manifests in its purest and most complete form. When we are present, the mind stops wandering between memories and worries, silencing the noise that obscures our true identity. Being fully conscious of the now is like illuminating each instant with the light of attention, allowing each experience to be fully lived, without haste and without distractions. In this state, the true self naturally emerges, as the now is the only space where it can manifest, where it is not divided between what was and what will be. Presence frees us from the chains of time and the illusion of ego, which feeds on stories, labels, and identities that belong to the past or future. Anchoring ourselves in the now, the ego loses its control, for the true self needs no justifications or narratives to exist. It simply is. This state of consciousness invites us to experience life more deeply, to perceive the beauty that exists in each detail, in each moment. Have you experienced the peace that arises when you simply exist, without the need to do, plan, or remember? By living in the now, we experience the freedom of being who we truly are, without the interference of judgments and expectations. This is the power of presence. It connects us with our authentic being, the true self, who observes life with curiosity and acceptance, finding fulfillment in the simple act of existing. The now is the gateway to our essence, to our true nature. By fully inhabiting the present, we live more fully and authentically, feeling that each moment is a new chance to awaken to our true identity, a new opportunity to be in harmony with the whole. Gratitude is a portal that connects us with the depth of being and with the purpose of every experience we live. By cultivating gratitude, we expand our consciousness, lifting our soul beyond difficulties and daily concerns. Each moment, whether light or challenging, carries within it a lesson, an opportunity for growth. And by embracing each experience with a grateful heart, we draw closer to our true self, which sees beauty and learning in everything. Gratitude goes beyond pleasant moments. It welcomes challenges, mistakes, and darker days. When we are grateful for the full experience of life, we open our hearts to the entirety of our spiritual journey. With each expression of thanks, we align with our essence, recognizing that each situation, no matter how difficult, serves the purpose of our evolution. It's as if, by being grateful, we reconnect with our soul's wisdom, with the certainty that, ultimately, everything contributes to our awakening. This state of deep gratitude teaches us to see life with more loving, understanding eyes. The true self does not see flaws or achievements. It merely observes, embraces, and grows with each experience. When we practice gratitude, we are not only thankful for what we have but also for who we are becoming, for each part of the path that brings us closer to our essence. And so, gratitude becomes a powerful tool for spiritual expansion, a bridge that takes us from the limited ego to the broad consciousness of our purest self. Have you experienced the peace that arises when you are grateful for something that initially seemed difficult? By practicing gratitude, we transform each experience into a blessing, each obstacle into an opportunity for self-knowledge. Gratitude elevates us, strengthens us, and brings us closer to a worldview where everything is part of a larger purpose. It is our soul reminding us that we are exactly where we should be, living exactly what we need to grow and draw nearer to our essential truth. Our body is a sacred temple, a physical expression of the essence we carry within. Though it is temporary, limited by time and the conditions of material life, it is also the vehicle through which our soul can manifest and experience the world. The body allows us to touch, feel, and fully live the earthly journey, bringing our inner light to the physical plane and revealing the true self in a tangible, present way. When we see the body as a sacred expression of spirit, we begin to value it not only for its appearance but for the essential role it plays in our spiritual journey. It is a divine instrument that responds to the impulses of the soul, expressing our emotions, thoughts, and deepest purposes. Every gesture, every breath, is an extension of our consciousness, a physical manifestation of our inner being. The body is, therefore, more than a simple form. It is a reflection of who we are at our core. Taking care of the body is an act of reverence for the spirit, a way of honoring the life that pulses within us and the consciousness that inhabits every cell. When we nourish and care for this sacred temple, we are, in fact, cultivating fertile ground for the true self to express itself more clearly and authentically. It is like preparing the soil for our essence to bloom, allowing our inner light to be revealed in every action, every word, every gaze. The body is our connection to the material world, but it is also a doorway to our spiritual world. Have you ever paused to reflect on the body's perfection as a mirror of the soul? By recognizing its sacredness, we learn to respect it, to listen to its needs, and to value every sensation as each one teaches us something about ourselves. The body is the vessel of our human experience, a gift that reminds us, every moment, of the preciousness of being alive, of being a unique expression of the spirit that pulses in everything. It is our way of sharing our light with the world and manifesting our true self in its fullest, most beautiful form. Along this journey of self-knowledge, we learn that we are much more than the sum of stories, thoughts, and appearances that shape our superficial identity. Within us exists an eternal essence, a true self that patiently observes behind each experience and remains untouched by time and circumstance. This self is not a fixed idea but a living, silent, unchanging presence that emerges when the ego quiets and the mind surrenders to the present moment. Discovering the true self is awakening to a broader reality, a consciousness that transcends the temporary personality we assume. It is realizing that we are much more than what we see in the mirror, more than the roles we play and the stories we tell. This awakening is a return to our deepest essence, a reconnection with what we have always been and always will be, regardless of life's changes and challenges. As we approach this true self, we feel a genuine peace, a sense of belonging to the whole, as we understand that we are, at once, unique and inseparable from the universe. It is a life in which every action, every choice, and every word becomes an authentic expression of our inner truth. Awakening to the true self is accepting that our essence is not limited, that it is eternal, whole, and unconditional. It is living with the trust that by connecting with our essence, we are in harmony with the deepest purpose of our existence. So, at the end of this journey, what remains is an invitation. Allow yourself to discover who you truly are, to see beyond the surface and the identity the ego has built. Look within and find the being that exists beyond roles, beyond narratives, beyond time. Because this is your true self, the one who has always been waiting to be recognized, the one who represents your purest state of peace, wisdom, and love. If this message resonated with you, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content on self-knowledge and spirituality. Share this video with those you believe may benefit from this message and leave your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Thank you for joining us on this journey. See you soon.